Yo, what's good everyone? It's your girl Just Jada, and for today's video I thought it would be fun to take you guys on a little journey with me on how I learned how to make sketchbooks, I guess, if that makes sense. Anyway, if you follow me on Instagram at just.jada, if you want to check it out, you'll probably know that I love to bookbind and make my own sketchbooks. It's something I think about a lot, something I talk about a lot. I just really enjoy doing that. And so today I wanted to try and learn how to make another type of book. I've done a lot of Coptic stitch, a lot of perfect binding, and today I'm going to be trying a buttonhole binding. So for materials, what you're going to need, I'll be using a piece of felt, a sheet of felt, some Canson watercolor paper, a needle, a bone folder, some scissors. I don't think I actually use the scissors. Oh, to cut thread. And then an awl, an X-Acto knife, and some waxed thread. My thread is pre-waxed, but you can also buy beeswax from, like, I know they have it at Joann's and like Hobby Lobby and stuff. In no way is this a tutorial on how to do a buttonhole stitch. I just wanted to like document my process and share with you guys like my thoughts on how the binding went and stuff like that. If you want to watch a tutorial, I'll link up above a tutorial by Sea Lemon. The channel is called Sea Lemon. Her tutorials are amazing. I feel like whenever I see a sketchbook video or like someone making their own sketchbook, they always say, oh, I saw this tutorial from Sea Lemon. But that's because her tutorials are extremely helpful. So that's the tutorial I used for this method. Yeah, so I'm just putting them in their signatures right now. Since I'm using watercolor paper, I'm only doing 2 pages per signature, and that worked out really nicely for me. I ran out of that, I think it's 12 by 9 sheet of paper, and so I had to cut more. And yeah, I don't think I mentioned that I use a paper cutter in my materials. Now I'm cutting the felt, and you'll see me mess up here because I forgot to take into account the spine. Right here, you can see me like, oh shoot, I messed up. So I forgot to take into account of the spine, so I just had to trim the edges. So the book ended up being like 9 by 5.5. Like, you know, those are the measurements. So now I'm just cutting the buttonhole. I just wanted it to be like just a cute little rectangle to showcase the paper. And when you're cutting this, you're going to want to leave the triangles attached. It'll help create stability for the spine and give the thread a little more something like to hang on to. You know what I mean? Awesome. Now we have our cover ready. I'm just basically folding down the triangles so you can see. And then I put in the signatures into the cover to mark where I needed to punch holes, so then I can sew on the signatures to the cover. I did trim 2 of my signatures to the cover, and then I got lazy and just decided to wait until they were all bound together to trim the rest of those signatures. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention in my materials, I use a little piece of styrofoam to help punch holes in my pages. It's extremely helpful because then I can make sure that my holes are big enough to fit my needle. So highly recommend, if you're ever interested in bookbinding, to get just like a piece of styrofoam and to use that to punch holes when you're binding. So this is kind of, I don't know how good I am going to be at explaining how to bind. So you go through the signature, out, and then wrap around the cover, back into the signature, and then back out. And then when you're attaching the next signature, you're going to go through the signature and then wrap around, but instead of going through the signature again like you did the first one, you're going to go under a little loop and then back into a new signature. if that makes sense. That's why you should watch the sea lemon video. I'm just gonna keep promoting her because she taught me how to do this and it was very helpful. So I just listened back to that. Did not make sense, but I'm not 100% sure how to explain it. You know what I mean? So while I'm binding this, I'm just going to talk about how I felt while binding this. I've done a lot of binding methods, like I said, Coptic stitching, perfect binding. I've done that single sheet method that's kind of like Coptic stitching. I've done Japanese hole stitching, I forgot what it's called. But this one, personally, I've really enjoyed. I liked how the outside looked, and I thought it was relatively easy to do. I think it's easier than Coptic stitching, and I don't know, I just am really happy with how it turned out, and stitching it was actually really enjoyable for me, but also I love to bookbind, so I don't know, but it was very fun. I would compare it mostly to, I would say, Coptic stitching, kind of. I don't know, hard to say, but I think it's easier than Coptic stitching for sure. And I think it's easier than kettle stitching. So like for a kettle bound book you need glue, and for this buttonhole book you do not, and I like that because I am impatient and I do not like to wait for glue to dry. So yeah, when you finish one side, then you're just going to do the same thing on the other side. Once Sea Lemon teaches you how to do that. Except instead of like putting in signatures, you're just going to go through them one at a time, you know. Yeah. So basically, same thing. Also, another thing that I hear when I watch people do like DIY sketchbook videos, that filming bookbinding is really hard because they always move they always move the book while they're binding, and I relate to that. I was like, this is easy, like filming while bookbinding is easy, I don't know what they're talking about. And now editing it, I'm like, you can't tell what I'm doing. Like, see, right now it's off screen, but I cut out so much footage of just like the back of my hand or the table because I was binding the book off screen. But yeah, I relate now. I think I'm an official art YouTuber because I've made a DIY sketchbook video, and I have complained about how it's hard to film bookbinding videos, and I have talked about Sea Lemon being the queen of bookbinding tutorial videos. I think check, that's all you need to make a DIY sketchbook video. So now that I'm basically finished binding, I'm going to talk about why I made this sketchbook. The sketchbook is actually a Christmas present for my sister. I made this on Christmas Eve because I procrastinate, and I was like, I have to get my sister a present, and she has recently gotten into watercoloring, so I was like, I'll make her a watercolor sketchbook, that'd be fun. So I did that for her, and I think she liked it. When she opened it, she sounded pretty happy. She's a little more excited about those little pills that you put in water and then sponge dinosaurs come out, but it's okay. So after I finished binding, I have to cut off the excess because, like I said, I'm dumb and I didn't think about making sure that there was room for the spine. So I'm trimming that, and then I decided that it would be cute to add a little pocket to the back of it. Also, I messed up a little bit and I cut some of the cover. So I just cut out like a 4-inch piece of felt that is the same length as the book, and then I sewed it on 3 of the 4 sides. I didn't film this because it was hard and my needle was really flimsy. I should have switched needles, but I was lazy. And so yeah, I just sewed that on all the way, and then here's the finished product. It was really fun to make. Highly recommend trying buttonhole binding if you're really into book binding. I think that it turned out really cute, and I'm planning on making another one for me just because I want one. It'd be really cute to put like decorative paper on the signatures where the buttonhole is. I don't know, I love that. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that junk. Thank you.